All right, let's check out the making of, see what this is all about. Look at that DualShock PS1 controller. Oh man.
It's a boy thing.
Boy band.
I formed a company with Mr. Kazunari Tomi, and the company's name is Studio Alex. We went to Game Arts to promote our business, and we told them we would like to make an RPG game with a compelling story that was something different from other games that existed at that time. After playing the Lunar game, if people would say, we have to live in a more positive fashion, live our lives looking to the future, that is the kind of game I wanted to make. This was the motive that inspired the Lunar game.
You had this great story, these characters that you cared about, and you were interested to see how they got together at the end, Alex and Luna.
I'm curious about the second one now too.
Than a game because of the animated sequences along the way, it kept getting the player back into the game.
A large percentage of the games that
You checking out Dawn?
Originate in Japan. They start in Japan and they're reworked for the
That
US
was that
audience.
game.
We were the first independent CD-ROM publisher in the US. So I'd heard about Lunar, and I really had no preconception about what it was. I was thinking of some sort of moon game.
When we saw the Sega CD version of Lunar, we knew that that was a game we wanted to do. It was a great game.
They had a CD-ROM system that was single speed, 150K a second. You could only spool so much data off of that. So you couldn't get really
One times
involved in
CD
it. You had a
speed?
limited amount of video memory, a limited color palette. There was lots of limits.
Games with good stories cannot be made without CD-ROM. And because of that, Lunar started with Sega CD, then a Saturn version, and then the PlayStation version. Whenever there's a better means of expression available, we will use it to express things better, and that's why we made the PlayStation version. People might ask a question such as, which version is the authentic version? Sega CD or Sony PlayStation? Or is there any difference? But I think they both reflect the story of Lunar. I believe the Lunar world actually exists. The person who tells the story may change. Before, Mr. Sega CD tended to often forget things, and he didn't pay attention to the details of things. But nonetheless, he was the storyteller for the first Lunar. This time, Mr. PlayStation, who is more sensible, smarter, and has a better memory, with more capacity for expression, told the history of the Lunar world.
Oh yeah, getting swole.
The first storyteller
Stroller dragons.
sometimes forgot some of the characters, or told the ending in rather finalistic terms.
Are you jelly of Mr.
While the new
PlayStation,
storyteller
Miyabi?
told us much more.
So after Xanadu was
Since
talking
the
about
Sega
Lunar
CD
2,
version of Lunar to the PlayStation version,
I got to looking through mine. I don't have the soundtrack in this.
the biggest difference is the description.
So he was talking about there was a soundtrack for it. I'm missing
In the Sega
everything.
CD
I have everything
where
but
the
that.
main character Alex leaves the island. They part. If that's the case, though,
Need to see if I can maybe get a
people might not
copy
feel
of it somewhere.
sympathetic toward the heroine. So we changed that in the revised scenario. We also increased the number of characters.
Yeah,
The development of the enemies was
I
a
thought
little
the
weak.
one that I got had that in it. This has got all sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably for like $50 or
I
something like
believe there
that.
were only 2 or 3 minutes of animation.
Yeah, it has a cool little
in the
box
original
with
CD
it.
version.
Oh wow, look
But
at
now
Luna
there's
on
about
that
an
one.
hour of animation.
Dang.
As for the voice actors, in the first version of Lunar, there were only 4 actors. But now there are about 15 voice actors.
Oh, they added a lot more then.
In terms of imagery, there was quite a bit of upgrading, so there's almost no comparison.
There's been quite a few changes actually to the scenario in Lunar. Definitely the characters are older. There's no age actually given, but they're definitely older than the first one. And I think that was to strengthen the love aspect of it. But also another reason they were aged. I don't
Yeah,
understand it.
it would have been crappy if
people that had played the
Alex
original
was
had
like
aged too.
13.
And so they wanted to keep it so they could still relate to these characters.
I couldn't tell how old he was, but they did seem
Wilson,
older,
his art
even though they kind of look
design,
young.
Great. Huge fan of what he's actually done with the Lunar characters and what he's also done with anime, because he doesn't just do game characters. He actually is involved with manga and anime, It's done some very popular stuff in Japan, like Giant Robo animation series.
で、特別なそのトレーニングですか？
As for special training, I really haven't done anything such as going to a specialized animation school or learning from someone else in
誰
particular.
かに習ったということはないですね。
One
全
thing
部
is really cool about
Everything
these
I learned by actually doing
is
work.
every disc has a different picture on them. So like I've seen like multiple versions of these discs online, and they had different like art, like so like all the discs have like crazy art on them, and like somebody's disc 3 will be different from somebody else's disc 3.
For instance, the scarf
Which is really
Luna
cool.
wears is an idea
Well, this
that
is,
was inspired by a nurse's outfit
The second
at the
one,
dentist I was going to at
but
that time.
like they all had different artwork on the CDs.
This is the storyboard for the Silver
Who are these
Star
guys?
story.
でですね。
These guys are the
でまあ
storyboard guys
There are
apparently.
about 45 to 46 scenes here.
で、これで
Once this is accepted, we start the actual animation by placing orders for the scenes to animators.
今回のリメイク版のルナからは、デジタルペイン
Oh, where are they?
For the
Oh,
remake of Lunar,
apparently I can't read
digital
sentences. Sorry.
paint was used instead of celluloid.
まあ
MS Paint. They use an MS Paint.
The
Is that what he just said?
drawings were scanned and then painted with a specialized software.
We made this game with MS Paint.
一連の動く絵ができるわけですね。
With like jamming tunes in the background.
As movie clips. Once that is done, the next steps are taken. Editing, retaking, and soundtracking, just like any other animation.
あとの作業は、普通のアニメーションと同じような流れで行われています。戦場のルーナっていうシーンでかなり
Computer graphics,
このシーン
CG,
ですね
was used a lot in the scene of Luna on the boat, such as this one where the ship moves.
What do you mean, Jim?
Motion
What did
has
we?
a regular 2D background. The ship is mostly all
We getting jiggy.
二次元の
Hey, that was a good scene.
Also, these night bugs, somewhat like lightning bugs, are done in CG.
一種の 3D のその利点っていうのは
He's like, I had to look up a guide,
The
see
advantage
what
of
to do next.
3D is that it is possible to create objects that are difficult to draw by hand.
大元の作業を発注します。
First, we give the layout to the 3D person, who creates something that moves like
こう
this.
いうふうに動くものを作ります。
We print that out as a wireframe, and we give that printout to the animator.
としたのがこれぐらいが
For one scene of Luna
それ
singing,
でこれをア
there
ニ
was
メー
this
ターに
much
渡して
printout.
作ってくださいとアニメ
We gave it to the animators, and we asked them to complete it within a week or so.
Wait, that many
It
pages?
took 2 months.
2 months.
あの 3DCG を私はソフトイメージ
The 3D CG was rendered using soft
ソフトイ
image.
メージでレンダリングされた
We combine images rendered by soft image with the images that are colored with the
で
Macintosh.
構成して、部分的なところでタッチ
Then
し
we
て
do partial
直し
touch-ups.
てそれを、
We then complete the process using QuickTime, etc.
とかで、
Ah, good old
We
QuickTime.
edit the QuickTime movies using Adobe
プレ
Premiere.
ミアとか使って編集します。
やっぱり
Yeah.
普通に
Can't skip. I'm
Usually,
sorry.
when you were involved
Thank
in
you for the
production
biddies.
as an animator, your involvement is very restricted.
Yeah, that was a really good scene with her singing on the
限定され
ship.
ちゃうんですね。ルナにおいてはその
Really good.
プロット
But in the case of Lunar, I was able to be involved in not only the plot, but also the scenario, and even part of the game making.
関わることができたんで
他のゲームですと大概の場合その
Dude, what is that green
In other
PS1?
games, most of the time it is difficult for
Is that a
animation
Sega Saturn?
to work so well with the game.
I almost bought a Japanese Sega Saturn on Macari
With
today.
Lunar, we could both work well together, argue well with one another.
I feel like I need to have like 2 of every console just in case one goes
The
down.
long period of time involved
Well, that's a dev model.
allowed
That's
us the
awesome. That was
opportunity
cool.
to exchange
Crap looking.
ideas.
お互いの意見っていうのは交換できたので
We all gained a lot from each other.
で全体のスケジュール
Objectively speaking,
He spray painted
the
with
boat
clear,
song is not a scene that is
with
directly
clear.
related to the game.
関係ないってこ
This
と
is
で
this is my
When our
clear spray
schedule
paint.
was getting a bit
切ってもいいんじゃ
tight,
ないかって話
Got
it
it,
was
Walmart.
suggested that we cut it for that reason.
あとそのシーンがある
By
ことで
having that scene,
ゲーム
I
と
thought
か
it would be
普通
possible
に
to
アニ
show
メーションで
Luna's spirit through a more interesting
Wait,
approach
they-
than those
they wanted to
used by
cut that
typical
scene?
games or animated illustrations.
Let me turn this up. I feel like it's not as loud as it needs to be.
I insisted very strongly to keep this scene,
が主張しまして、
and luckily the producer and others accepted my opinion.
皆さんも僕の熱に負けたのか。
Music makes up the world of Lunar. The magical spells are cast based on the musical song.
I didn't realize it was so
and that's
low.
pretty much your first scene with Luna. Is she is singing. So the music is a very important part of this game.
And what the dev model?
音楽は本当
Probably
に大事だと思ってます。
I think the music is very important.
あるシーン
There is a good chance that 70 to 80% of a scene's emotional impact can be attributed to the music.
例えば
For example, this time we had the very talented Mr. Iwadari from the very beginning, which was very
Yeah,
lucky.
it can't be a bummer to play a game and you're like you're
The music
enjoying
he
it, but the
makes
music makes you want to
moves
like
people's hearts.
その前
put
身
your
である
fingers in your ears.
メガ CD
I was in charge of the music for the first Lunar, the
Ah, it's
Mega
got Grandia
CD,
posters.
Lunar the Silver Star. And since then,
Is that Fiend in the
I've been
background?
in charge of all the music
Fiend
in
and
the Lunar
Justin?
series.
Iwadari does the actual music composition for Lunar, a number of other things too, but in this particular case, he does the composition for Lunar. His company is 2-5. He works very closely with Isao Mizuguchi, who does
Nice.
the arrangement and the lyrics and such for the songs.
シナリオライターとか
The scenario writers and graphics people will tell us specific places they would like to use the lyrics.
歌を使いたい
This guy looks like somebody that works with music just from his outfit.
I will first ask them what kind of scene that is.
It's like, you guys want me to remix it for you first?
For example, what state of mind is the heroine in when she sings that song?
歌を歌わなきゃいけないの
In what situation does that particular song come out of her mouth?
いますよね。歌はそのヒロインの僕が書い
The
た
song is the heroine's, though I write
He's wearing a
this.
crazy orange outfit. It's throwing me
For the
off.
listeners, the song is sung by the heroine naturally in that situation.
前作の、
Lunar the Silver Star included about 38 songs or pieces of music,
作ったんだけれども、その中の最も中核となる
and among them, a main song emerged, which was the song of the festival that Luna sang by the natural spring.
で、この曲があったんだけども、この曲のイメージ
This was a very important song in the game,
一番の、
and the image it created was one I wanted to keep.
その他は全部、それは僕の持っていた
All the other songs were created according to the image of Luna that existed in my mind.
で、全てまとめさせて、
These amounted to over 100 pieces of music.
結局トータルで、
It took about half a year to complete
半
it.
年ぐらい、半年以上かなぐらいかかって、
After I made the first song, however, there was a layoff for a hiatus,
を作ってからしばらくブランクがあったんだけど、
but I wrote over 100 pieces of music,
ただやっぱり100曲近くの曲を書
so I
いて
needed
Silly
about half a year.
layoffs. That's shenanigans.
RPG をクリアすると普通の
Usually, when people complete an RPG game, they feel it was great.
はそういうハガキがね
But for Lunar, because I received postcards, I know it is
感動
true.
して泣きま初めて
Oh, people send him postcards?
RPG のゲームをクリア
I
して
get comments like, I cried for the first time after finishing an RPG.
オープニングの翼、
Wow.
I look at the mail from the users of the game
ユーザーからの
and at the homepage,
メールとか
and I see descriptions of them saying something like,
の、書き込みとかを見て
The tears come out when I listen to the opening song, Wings.
と、
Yeah.
なぜだか知らないけれども
People seem to be attracted by songs.
That's pretty wild, honestly.
風のノクターン
And I hear these messages that say, When I listen to the Wind Nocturne, it exposes the heart bare.
風のノクターンとかはすごく心が洗われるとか
There are some
Oh,
battle
yeah,
songs that
codpiece
people
time.
seem to like that make them feel heartwarming.
No, they just go on web pages to complain.
Things you have to isolate when you're
Some of
looking
the
at
AMAs
Japanese
or
games,
whatever.
what's the suitability for the US
Sometimes you'll
is
see on like
the
subreddits.
language.
Kinda nice,
because there
but-
is some stuff that's acceptable.
Yeah, you don't really
in
see it too
Japanese
much.
Language even. that you can't use in the US without getting a stern rating. For example, in Cosmic Fantasy II, which is one of the games we did for TurboGrafx, which is a pretty innocent game overall, there was a scene where one of the characters flipped off another one in a close-up. So we had to change that to she was shaking her fist.
We pretty much take the main plot points, throw away the rest of it, and write it in an American style with a bunch of cultural references that people can relate to. Even though
we're
it's
eating
set
our
in
Wheaties.
this mystical world, you still have these pop cultural references that allow you to get an attachment to the characters. And people tend to get more involved in something that they can relate to.
One of the things we're known for now is the translation. The quality translation, the fluid way that people speak, the natural way that people speak.
If we hurry, we may be able to sneak in without waking the dragon. Then we can get a fantastically huge diamond from its lair worth thousands and thousands of silver, making us filthy, stinking rich and very popular in the process.
In our games, we always try to improve it, add some gameplay element that improves the game, makes it more fun for the user, or easier to play. We added some personality to some of the characters, like Might's Lab. You had this guy in this tower, this inventor, and he's all up in this tower, and you have to go through this huge thing to get this maze to get up there. And we're like, well, why was he so isolated? You know, he's like a hermit, a recluse. And so in the US version, which wasn't in the Japanese one, we had him suffering from tremendous body odor. So that's why he had to be isolated. And so he makes comments of that ilk.
You're trespassing! Go away!
I'm sort of a professional hacker, right? They've already written the code, but it doesn't really work for English. They have, the Japanese character set has thousands, tens of thousands of characters, whereas in English we have a relatively small defined set of characters, but the words tend to be longer because it takes more characters to express a thought. They gave us a space of 38K to actually put all the text for a particular section of the game, and the English text can get up to 72K in size, so I had to write data compression to squish that text down so it would actually fit into memory. And that's been a major battle for me.
That guy was like mega nerd talking.
Welcome to
Yeah,
the
trying to
Magic
get it all
Guild of
compressed in
Vane,
there.
Alex of Berg. I am Gallion. My
Yeah.
apprentice Nash speaks quite highly
I'm kind of curious
of
to see what all the voice
He said
actors
you
look like.
cleared the trail for the White Dragon. I didn't make it.
The actors for the first one were John Truitt.
Got his daggum Radio Shack
voiced
headset
Gallion,
going on.
obviously
Let's
the
go.
most well-known of all of them.
He said you cleared the trail of the White Dragon. Is that true?
Voice from Gallion, you sort of have to rest your body into it and enunciate every single word clearly and just enjoy every delicious sound. I didn't realize, when you see the people
Just for the
making,
final boss music,
making
interesting.
cartoons sometimes, you think they look kind of ridiculous.
Oh, that's
because
Null?
they've got their hands moving up and down and they're bouncing and they're jumping around. But you actually have to do that with your body in order to get the right sounds and the right inflections coming out of your voice.
To get the right performance, usually it doesn't take much more than saying, this is your motivation, this is what's going on here. If you're jumping or whatever, do a little jog in place to get yourself out of breath a little bit and then do it. But sometimes you have to do extreme methods, and the favorite story of John is the warm milk from Wendy's.
We were filming something and I was supposed to be choking or coughing on something, and we came up with
Warm
this wonderful
milk?
idea that milk would do the trick, and I think that I must have downed something like 1.5 gallons of milk while I'm trying to hack up all this sputum and all this phlegm and all this stuff that would make it sound perfect. I was a little sick after that.
You come in and you kind of memorize your lines first of all, because a lot of times you have to match the video. You have to
Dang, that's some
lip sync
80s
exactly.
hairstyle.
You've got to really, really fit the voice into the action, into the allotted time that you have, because the animators have done their job first. And then
Oh,
you have to
extra.
go
Oh,
back
they had to
and
put like a
figure
little
stuff
extra
in
thing on the
with
cartridge.
what they've
Oh,
done. So
interesting.
yeah, it can be really, really tough.
Victor, he's my husband's best friend and they've been buddies since high school. He called me up because he needed a little cutesy voice and a little mousy voice.
Luna, huh?
And that's what I have, so.
Jackie Powers does the voice of Null again.
Well, it's really exciting to come in and there's a huge sound booth and people and cords and contraptions everywhere. It's easy and it's comfortable for me to get into the part of Null, being that he's mischievous and a close friend, and it seems like a likable character overall.
and Ashley Angel did the voice of Alex in the first one. Originally, we were going to probably ditch his voice because he had grown up too much, and after having heard his voice again, I'm like, well, he hasn't aged that much, you know, maybe we can use his voice, because it's kind of nice because the character has grown up in the game, and if his voice is a little bit older too, that's okay.
I think I'm a lot like Alex. I really do. In what way? I like to be the hero. I like to be the guy that gets the attention at the end, and I like to be the guy that saves everybody, especially Luna, you know, and she's a pretty
he's checking
hot
out that
cartoon.
VOD though, you know.
It's a lot of fun, you know, being in the recording studio, doing this kind of thing, being the voice of, you know, a cartoon. Basically, it's acting, and it's what I love to do.
And then Hal Delahousse does the voice of Quark, which is best dragon voice hands down ever. Cinema, anywhere, take your pick. It's a great dragon voice. He's pitch shifted obviously, but he has a nice rumble to his natural speaking voice, so that when he talks, it's just
for inspiration, yeah.
Comes right out.
You are the first adventurers to visit me in a long time.
A dragon is huge.
What's up, man? God, how you doing?
Needed to sound huge. So by pitch shifting his voice down, and of course, usually in most cases, the dragon's in this nice big cave, and so that lends itself.
Dang, that
to
guy's
some
got a
nice big
super
reverb
forehead.
and,
Good morning.
When
Now
we
it's
get done with it,
it's almost 10
you
p.m.
believe that is the dragon's voice. In the case of Null, we pitch shifted her voice higher in order to make it sound like it was coming out of a little creature rather than out of a normal woman's voice. It also helped mask whether or not it was male or female.
Alex, couldn't you hear me? I've been flying
Yep.
around for the last half
We're watching the making of.
But I should have known you'd be here.
Try a little more. A little more like you do very well.
I can't remember why the VHS cassette.
I've been flying around for the last half hour calling for you. But I should have known you'd be here.
One of the best things about Victor is that he doesn't write the script and then it's etched in marble, okay? The product isn't finished until it's in the can.
If we're getting there and we're looking and saying, there's not enough syllables, or there's too many syllables, or what's another word for, you know, how can we say this a little differently because it's not long enough, it's too long, whatever. And he's always open to suggestions if we need a new word, something like that.
Okay, let's try that scene 3 again with Luna.
Victor's a demanding person, and lots of times to get the line just right for him, you have got to do it 30, 40, 50 times, however many times it takes.
And we'd spend so much time on one line, so I have to hand it to him for that, for being so patient.
One of the lines happened to be a screaming part, and we did that too many times for my own good. I think we had to wait a while because my voice kind of went away.
We may have 2, 3, 4 takes of a particular
Yeah,
line.
no day one patch. You can play it without actually being connected to the internet.
Listen through them.
Amazing.
Pick one or maybe 2 choices of a particular line. Then once those have been selected, I'll go and drop those into the game where they belong and see if we got any problems, begin lining up the dialogues and adding sound effects and maybe nipping and tucking if we're a little long, a little short, something like that to match up all the lips.
They make fun of me sometimes, but it helps lighten things up so that it's not so serious and hard to do. So we clown around a lot.
There's been times when an actor and actress, they're just, you can tell they're uptight and we need them to loosen up for something or other. So we'll play certain
nothing like
sound
that
effect
day
scenes.
one DLC.
When he tries to make you laugh, he puts fart noises in the microphone.
I haven't found a person yet who could keep a straight face during a certain set of sound effects CDs.
Wishing on a dream.
Jenny Steigel does the singing voice of Luna. She has a boat song in the second one that wasn't in the first game, and she does the singing
Oh,
for that.
she did
also
the
does
voice.
the singing for the opening song too.
I've always wanted to sing. The boat song more or less is talking about Luna. She's not sure where she's headed, what she's doing with her life, and she has a bunch of questions about herself, and she's talking about that in her song.
When we originally started translating the games, I used to try and stick as closely as possible to the translated lyrics of the songs. But somewhere along the way I figured out that that really didn't convey the emotion of the songs as well. So I decided that if I took into account the author's original intent plus the feeling
Or my
that I got
favorite
from
when
the
they
scenes,
patched them day one
and
and
just rewrote
censored
the
them.
lyrics entirely,
It's always
we ended
fun
up with
too.
a much better overall song, which is
Like it with
true
most
in the case
modern
of Luna
consoles,
with the
you can
boat song,
cancel that
which
update.
The English version turned out to be a much more melancholy and reflective song than the Japanese one.
Wishing on a dream that seems far off, hoping it will come today. Into the starlit night, foolish dreamers turn their gaze
mixer board though. That is very true. I think we talked about that whenever this song, you said this song came up. You know, it's usually always like the Japanese version of the song. Every once in a while, but never like 1 out of 10. Maybe even less than 1 out of 10. RPGs have the music translated. Unless we can get some Xenoblade Chronicles X with the yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Are you happy, Victor? People?
I like how they all have their Lunar shirts on.
On everything because we want to make sure that
This is for
from start to
B-roll.
finish,
Put your
the
Lunar
game
shirt on.
is handled correctly and properly. By doing this deluxe packaging that we're doing, it
Oh,
becomes a
yeah.
collector's item. We have people that still have our packaging from TurboGrafx, still have our games from Sega CD, and they keep them because it was great packaging. And with Lunar being the great game that it is, and one of our personal favorites,
They
that
did
we've
package
done,
these very well.
We wanted to create packaging that the consumer wanted.
We play games. We're fans ourselves. We just happen to be fans who make games.
Pretty much that's a standard requirement for being an employee at Working Designs is you have to like games and you have to play the games.
When I played the game, it's probably been the biggest thing of realizing, hey, we did some good work here. You know? We're able to sit back and look at it.
とにかくルナの各
Yeah, because
Each producer involved with Lunar
the
sought
soundtrack
such
had
a
a
high
different
level.
cover on it.
こう描いていくかということには随分神経を使ってきましたし、まあルナが好きだと言って
I feel that the people who are very fond of Lunar are able to sense that fact in some way or another from the production.
からうまくこう受け取ってくれてるのかなっていう気がしてますけども。
求めてるレベルが非常に
Everyone demanded such a high level. When it was all done, I felt such satisfaction to show everyone the finished project.
It's a huge privilege to be able to be a part of that.
And it's a good memory to make, something to tell my children about.
I think this re-release of Lunar is going to be big.
It's actually it's more or less, oh my gosh, brain fart.
Oh, we're not gonna have another hour of outtakes,
What did you
are we?
even say?
Take 2.
Yeah, 3.
Good. Busy.
Remake it again. And you can make a bundle where you get both games in one.
And so,
as long as it doesn't have
Totally lost my
the DS
thought here.
version included.
増えまして。
I can relate to that.
molesting
Wait,
the
Dave
goddess
saw it. What?
Athena. It's all so exciting.
He's dead based on the fact that
The
he
anime.
lost his
I
life.
don't really guess I've ever seen too much of that.
Let's do that one more time, please.
He's dead because he died.
But that's a spoiler. Don't use that.
Okay. It was really good.
Long load times.
I got a nice
Really?
shirt out of the whole
PSP?
thing, which is kind of cool. You know, I can say, hey, you know, I was in that game.
I feel like
won't
it would
have
be
a
much
nice car to
different than the
drive or
PS1.
any other clothes to wear, but I'll have the shirt.
You didn't hear that, did you?
She was just this
Oh.
bodacious, pink-haired bimbo.
And then, well, that's pretty much it, actually.
Who was that with the pink hair? I didn't know. Hey, thanks for watching. Press X to play the movie again. Okay, good. Wait, I thought it said it was like 57 minutes long. We good. Well, that was pretty cool. X. Stop. I was just joking. It was a joke. It was a joke. All right, thanks for tuning in for that.